Okay, so the timing of the events that I'm going to talk about in this video, it's a little bit fuzzy, but the exact timing, I have a general idea. So I'm going to go a little bit out of order in this video, but you'll see why. You will absolutely see why. So, again, I don't remember the exact moment when this took place. It was either while I was in New Orleans or shortly after I got back from New Orleans. That's how I remember it in my head, aka early March, early mid-March, when I got a text completely out of the blue. I was not expecting this. So again, remember what just took place in January. You can imagine what took place in February. And then I am at the point where I'm like kind of at my beginning of the year vacation that usually ends in Washington, D.C. This year I went to New Orleans, ended up in Washington, D.C., even though they're nowhere near each other. Again. So, you guessed it. I got a text from Peter. And I can't emphasize enough, again, the dots only connect when you look backwards, that I was at a great place in my life in terms of on my hustle, on my grind. You know, like life, if there's anything I've learned throughout all of this, so many lessons that I've learned, but if there's like one recurring theme that just keeps coming up, is that like life doesn't get easier, you get better, or at least hopefully you do. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like at this point when Peter actually texts me, I'm in a good place. Again, things aren't easy, but I'm managing. Like I'm on top of things, right? So for many different reasons, right? So when he texted me, and like I said, even though I'm completely over this guy, I was like, oh, maybe things will be better this time. And hey, things are great. Why not? Why not give it another try? So this is where we'll begin round 2. Just like the video title says. This is where I'm going to hop around a little bit, because even though the relationship lasted, so it was something like 9 months the first time, 14 months the second time. In some ways things were better round 2. In other ways they were not. They remained the same. Did anything get worse? I don't know. I might answer that question in a later video. I honestly, I don't know. What I can tell you is that I was excited to have Peter back in my life, because you also do have to remember that the way that we ended things before was not necessarily in a bad place. It was very much like, I still love you, I just can't be what you need right now. And I took that as a good sign. And again, I'm going to talk more about this in the next video, but when he texted me, I was either on or had just gotten back from a trip, and then he was getting ready to go on a trip, and then I was getting ready to go on another trip, which was not normally the case. However, I was partially being sponsored for the trip that I'm going to talk about in the next video. Again, you'll see the things move so fucking quickly, and you'll see where I'm going with all of this. So what I'm trying to get at is that the suspense was, kind of built up, because let's be, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So we didn't get to see each other right off the bat. And that was already the case in our relationship somewhat. We never lived together. We both are, very busy people. And just that's the reality of living in a city. And we're going to absolutely talk more about that. Dating in a city is not easy. So what I'm trying to get at is that even though he texted me, right? And here also I'll tell you how the text went. So it was very much like, hey Eric, like, it's Peter. He did make I don't remember again the exact wording, but he did make a note about saying, good to see that I'm not blocked. Because remember, I did not block this man. Just wanted to say hi or whatever. And so I said that how nice it was to get his text, that how it was a nice surprise or whatever, welcome surprise. And then I don't know if it was in that text. I don't know if he got a response. And then I said, but I very early on made it very clear, like, yo, I'm not interested in being friends. Like, if that's what this is, like, that's not what I'm about. So he said, that's not what I'm about either, pretty much. I remember, again, I don't remember the exact wording, but he said, I don't think that I could do that. And then he put like the blue heart. That was kind of his thing, the blue heart. So I was like, cool. So woo, just like that, I'm back on cloud nine, right? And then that was it, okay? So we didn't really start texting too much back and forth because again, he's getting ready to go to the Bahamas with his mom and sister. And I think, like I said, I had just gotten back from my early in the year trip, my annual 2-week trip that I go on in the earlier part of the year. Okay. So there's a reason why I bring all this up. And I'm mentioning it all this way. But once we did finally get to meet up, which was in early April, it was like magic. So I'll expand more on this, but it's like, obviously I'm not going to show you guys pictures of us, but it's like, we were cute. Like, again, we're both tall and skinny, right? 6'4", 6'2", and we're both good looking people. Like, I am gonna flex, but it's like, I'm not gonna lie either. Like, I'm not gonna, sell myself down, or, you know what I'm trying to say, but it's interesting. It's like I'm almost getting the same butterflies that I got meeting up with him. So anyway, we agreed to meet on the corner of, I think it was like Market and Pine. So in the financial district. And then we were going to go to Alamo Square, Painted Ladies neighborhood. We were going to stop at my place on the way over there and use your imagination. But I just remember waiting for him, and then all of a sudden I saw him, because again, I can kind of see things, especially when I'm wearing my contacts. I have a good vantage point. I just remember seeing him, he seeing me, and just not even caring about anybody else in the world, and just like kind of being so happy to see each other, and like hugging, making out, kissing. And I do explicitly remember a couple people walking by and smiling. And later on during our trip to Chicago, there is an element of this where it's like getting outside validation, right, is only like is only assuring you, right, that the relationship is something positive, is something that is healthy, when that's not necessarily the case, because looks can be very, very, very deceiving. So long story short, Peter was back in my life. I was no longer single. And yeah, I will talk more about how much deeper and how much more serious round 2 was. But before that, I have to tell you about my trip to Washington, D.C., which is technically before Peter and I saw each other for the first time, reunited, and you will see why I put everything and phrase it in this way. See you in the next video.